to, you know, the conversation, you know, obviously you had your own hardship and, you know, the parental role that you guys had in your family, that role. So how would you feel like that impacted you growing up?
Yeah, I mean, you know, usually my friends say that I'm too ducky, you know, I'm too depressing and stuff like that. But, you know, I'll give them a perspective of you know, what goes on Mook's thoughts here. Well, not all of it, but but yeah, no, it was difficult for sure. You know, we separated. I won't go into too much detail, but we separated about in 2012, and before that, you know.
And that was your mother, correct? Your mother.
Yeah.
Put
so
it in context,
Yeah. So then we were all one household and everything, just you know, a nuclear family.
Yeah.
But you know what was going in the back end was a whole different thing. You know, like there was a lot of insecurity, of course, like I was mentioning in other episodes. Right. Yeah. But that resided because we had a lot of family issues. And it's usually the Punjabi drama in our household and stuff like that.
So it was just you, your dad, and your sister, correct?
Yeah. And then, you know, in that, so we left. But yeah, a lot of, you know, it was a type of environment where I couldn't go home, right? And it was also an environment where I couldn't eat at home either. And then my sister was about 12 years old. She didn't really have a good perspective of what was going on in the household, but she kind of had an understanding, a feeling what was going on. Because I was barely at home. My dad was barely at home. Dad was working all the time. I was, you know, I didn't want to go home. So then instead I used the majority of my time was, you know, I was on the field or I was on the court, just trying to avoid that type of atmosphere. But that impacted a lot in my self-confidence. Mm-hmm. You know, we were trying to avoid a lot of the issues that were going at home. And it's, you know, honestly, it's a lot of stuff that's happening in the households in today's age too, right? Yeah. And the only out that we saw was, you know, that we left, right? That was the only option. So then myself, my dad, my sister, we all left. We started from zero again, from scrap. Yeah. You know, my dad was telling me, he's like, you didn't have shit in his bank account, you know? So, but what I'll say, one thing for sure, since my sister was 12 years old and I was 16, you know, it, you know, impacted my confidence, my you know, just my own perspective of who I wanted to become in the future. And the only thing that kept me going was I was constantly visualizing of who I wanted to become in the future. Yeah. The issue with that, you know, I'm going to go back and forth here, but like as I was growing up, the issue was I was relying on visioning on who I want to become rather than focusing on what was happening presently. Yeah. Right. So instead of, you know, putting things into action and making changes in my, you know, in my own mindset and all that stuff, I was just constantly just visualizing what I wanted to become. For my sister, of course, you know, for her, it was a huge impact. You know, 100%. It was a losing your mother. Huge impact, especially when you have two men in the fucking household too. There's no mother. You know, we don't really see. I mean, what I saw was that she was having this kind of
like a resentment. Would you say almost like the fact that
because I think too she had to kind of like take on the role as the woman in the household. Yeah. So she had to learn how to cook. Yeah. Right. She had to take care of the house
and help your dad around the house.
And my dad, and then I took on the perspective where honestly I started cooking too. Yeah. Right. Because you know I didn't want to put that much pressure on my sister. Right. Yeah. But then again, I had that freaking ego in me because of this, resentment. Right. I had this ego. I was like, why the fuck does this happen to my fucking life? Yeah. Right. Why does it have to happen to my dad, to, you know, all of us? But then one other thing I'll say is that over time, I was able to learn how to adapt. So from changing from an ego, right, it turned into discipline and patience. From being shy, and this is something that a lot of people kind of mistaken with me, that I'm shy. It's not really that I'm shy. I'm conserved. Yeah. I'm really reserved on who I talk to and who I interact with.
You have a different understanding of life given what your experiences have.
Yeah, so that led a lot into like the visualizing, and then, you know, eventually I was able to take it into action. Yeah. So kind of going back, like with my dad, the problem with my dad was that usually, like what we were talking about, like you want the father to be masculine, to be the leader, to take on the risk, to take care of the family. And of course my dad was doing that, no question about it. And I really appreciate
But it takes a toll though, man.
It takes a whole fucking toll, because he also had to play like the mother role as well. And that affected his masculinity, which also affected how I kind of perceived myself in the future as a man. Yeah. Right? So it was just all messed up. The roles and everything were all messed up. And the only way really how it kind of changed was because I had to learn.
Yeah.
I had to learn. My sister, I'm not gonna throw her under the bus, but like, yo, she still has that ego, and I'm trying to teach her and be like, yo, don't hold on to that shit, because that's gonna destroy you. I was like, you need to appreciate like how much you sacrificed and how much you had to learn. I was like, yo, you gotta understand, like, you know, I'm not gonna try and compare it to other women because everybody has their own story. But it's like, yo, like, you have your story. It's a beautiful story. It's just we had to sacrifice a lot, right? So we had our own path, our own struggles, and everything like that. But eventually we found our path, and then, you know, eventually I was able to talk to my dad and have those conversations that we were talking about last episode. Yeah. Right? I was like, yo, you should be appreciated. We're in a peaceful environment now. You're able to take on that role as a father. You know, I'll work with you. I'll give you a perspective, right? Not saying that I'm more educated, have more experience than my dad, but the fact that he was able to have an open mind.
And you guys having a dialogue,
right?
You know.
But yeah. Anyways, that's a long ass story, but
no. I think it's important to give you that perspective, because like one thing I do admire the situation that you've been through. I feel like a lot of people that do go to hardship like that, to that extent, losing a parent, whether it's a mother or a father, that's hard, man.
Oh yeah.
Period. So the thing is, like, but the outlet for a lot of the time for the kids, especially now, is easily to do what? Abuse, drugs, go out, not have a real sense of purpose, and also almost pretty much throw yourself a pity party.
Yeah.
You know? In the moment, it's okay to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You know, acknowledging your issues that are going on, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Sitting there by yourself, acknowledging it, whether you're writing it down and embracing it, that is okay. But what is not okay is, you know, using that as an outlet to impact you negatively when it comes to your mental health, whether it comes to your physical or emotional. When you let those things go, especially because you've been through so much, I feel like, you know, to have that discipline, to not, you know, go down that route and be like, no, I see myself better than that. And that is huge. And that's what we lack today in this era right now, because I feel like right now this generation is so easily to look for outlets to kind of stimulate their minds, because weed helps them calm down. Like, I smoked weed, or I'm drinking. It helps me calm down. You guys losing your mind. Listening to what you're saying. Using a drug that knowingly proven hinders you negatively.
Oh yeah.
When people use it as an excuse, be like, okay, weed and this, drugs, whatever it may be, it calms you down, right? Not to cast judgment on the people that do use it. You know, I can sit here and be like, I haven't walked their lives, right? I could sit here and be like, you know, you shouldn't do that. But we gotta strive to do better. Because like we all have greatness within us, right?
Oh yeah.
We all do. We have it in us. It's whether we want to actually bring that out of us and not letting the circumstances and the hardship and everything that we've been through define how we look, the outlook we have on life. You could have had an outlook on life, be like, you know what? Like, the fuck, I don't never want to get married. What for? Hell no. You know what I mean? Like, these are valid reasons for you to have. These are valid things that could process in your head. I don't want to be with a woman. Why would I? Look what they did to my dad. Look how I destroyed him. Look how I destroyed my family. But you don't have that outlook. You have an outlook, okay, I understand it, but guess what? Now, I can have these conversations to a point where, like, I can take certain things from the situation and I can better my life when it comes to a relationship wise, and truly pick a partner that will understand me and grow from there. You know?
So, true. Honestly, it's I would say though it's difficult because my past was like, I mean, I don't really have that many friends. So, I did also play a lot of sports too, right? So, I mean, even junior high, like instead of going to like a public school, I went to a Catholic school. Yeah. So I was the only kid.
What in the world? Punjabi in a Catholic school.
The only guy with the goopy, man. So, but then it's like, okay, well, I mean, the only thing that I knew I was really good at was playing sports. So I was on the track and field team, right? I made it to city finals, and I was the only Guti kid there, fucking racing against all these Gore and stuff like that. Yeah. But even that, like, just, you know, I went into volleyball, I went to basketball, went into soccer, and then eventually, like, that itself. But even within those sports, like, you know well enough that an athlete itself has discipline, right? To stay consistent, everything like that. I think though, because I had that consistency, even though I did not recognize it, and I was avoiding the things that were happening at home, I was able to put that into my lifestyle, into the business I want to create, the things I want to do, the things I want to learn. I think for a person that, if you look at the other side, like if that person's more social, it's much more tough because then they have so much distractions in their life.
True. Right?
Whereas a person honestly, like a person that's, doesn't have many friend circles, they don't really have that much distractions. They only focus on the one thing they're good at. So it's tough though. If you're more social, you have friends, and especially the type of friends too, it definitely impacts what you resort to. It's tough.
No, it is, man. And then that's the thing though too, like, when you see these cases, it kind of ties back to almost like, goes back into, women want to be more independent and whatnot. When you see these cases, people look at a relationship, they're like, that's scary.
Yeah.
They look at a commitment as something that's scary. And rightfully so, maybe because, their past wasn't something good or bad. But, these situations, when they arise, when your outcome moving forward, it shouldn't scare you, but rather, acknowledge what happened, embrace it, and move forward with it. Easier said than done, but guess what? It takes a lot of, willpower and courage to actually move forward with a positive mindset. Because a lot of the time, negative thinking what kills a lot of people in general. Yeah. And, what I've seen with men these days in our culture is, one thing I do feel like, straying away from the fact that, women want to be single, be more independent. But guess what, though? It feels men like it leaves them at a point where, like, they're not needed.
Yeah.
And guess what? Now depression lurks.
They're not able to hold on to that.
Exactly. That social isolation when, a man is not wanted. That's when you see these issues on a greater scale, when mental health becoming more prevalent. Because the reason why is a woman is perfectly okay because they always get attention. They will receive at all age. I don't care. Women like, I don't need attention. No, trust me, you will. At all scale, they do. But compared to men, it's not close. Like single men, you'll see a lot of the time a person that was single and the man, maybe felt like, socially isolated. And when they actually get in a relationship, you will actually see them get uplifted and do better by themselves. Because that's the nature of human beings.
Yeah.
To have a woman and a man and come together and make something beautiful out of it.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no. That like
I don't need you.
It's looking in such a negative way. And this is where, like, I was telling you about the stat where, the same time the study was done from 1970 to 2018, a household with single mother went from 8% to 25%. 25%. Now imagine like raising, and you know how hard that is as a single parent trying to raise a kid? Financially, emotionally, physically, it takes a toll on you. Would you rather have a household with two parents or one parent? Hands down, two parents.
Oh yeah.
Hands down, two parents. It provides more stability for the kids. It provides more stability for the overall, the familyhood that you have built with your wife, husband, and all that. It just translates to more success for the generation coming up. And we're straying away from that. And it's kind of scary because it kind of leads into kind of the thing that, you said, the mental health issue aspect is because now as men, we lose that lack of purpose where we're like, okay, what are we really working towards? Because as men, we're taught to be strong. And the ability of like, okay, can't be that vulnerable. Got to be a provider. And when you don't have that, what do you have? What are you working towards? And when those things, are straying away in a point where like that gap is getting greater and greater and greater, where women are happily by themselves, great for them, right? But that's where, the issue as a society is kind of like it's kind of, I don't know.
I think though, like traditionally, I think even if a woman does pursue her career, professionally, right?
Yeah.
Even though like our main perspective, like even for us, we want something that's more traditional.
100%.
We're good
man.
with like a woman that's wants a career, but at the same time, there needs to be a balance between the two. Even if a woman says that she wants to be independent, and everything in the back, you can tell us well enough that a woman wants something that's traditional. She wants a man that makes more income, that's able to lead.
100%.
It's just they're not gonna admit it.
100%. Preferably,
right?
That's what they want. They want a man to make that money so they could just take care of the kids and have that ability, right?
Yeah.
So,
but there needs to be like some sort of some reality to it. Like even if a woman does, let's say she's making $200K a year, right? And if her perspective is to find a man that makes 250 or even more, like more than what she makes, how many men are actually making that amount of income?
Yeah.
And that's like what you're saying, right? It's the type of expectations that are set in this world, you know, like with the opposite gender. It's just like how hard it is for a man to make to that goal.
Yeah,
right. And that's what you're saying. Like, it's mental health issues, like it's type of expectations and stuff like that. So it is, we got to admit it though. Like it is hard for a man to pursue, to become successful and try to build up and make a lot of those changes that, let's say if they're partying and stuff like that, taking drugs and doing all this shit, right? Like how much effort it takes to make those changes, right? And also, not having that much support, whereas a woman does have support.
Yeah. So. And that's the thing though too. I feel like we're straying away from that a lot. We're kind of getting away from understanding as a man our role and our purpose. We're easily distracted by whatever's going on around us.
Yeah.
In our culture, it's crazy, man. The amount of people that we have every weekend, they at a club, same corner, bottle service, abusing drugs.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it destroys your mental health.
Oh, yeah.
And now, guess what?
Yeah.
Your decision to kind of gets blurred, whether it comes to having a relationship, how to sustain it, how to act as a man in that relationship. Okay, there's certain needs that a woman, their needs.
Yeah.
There are needs that need to be met. And when you're not meeting those, guess what? The first thing like a man does now, especially in our culture, is guess what? Well, I don't know. They're like, they ignore it. They deflect it, and blame, on the counter partner. The women, definitely. And it kind of ties into like the alcohol abuse is so prevalent. And you know what that does in like a family structure? This is what I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to this, is kids literally get scared of the dad to a certain extent. Reason why? Because now they're afraid to even have these talks. Because as men, it's almost seem as like a burden to even talk about our feelings. Like if a father's in a role, it's almost like a burden, or it's looked as, it's frowned upon.
It's more embarrassing.
It's embarrassing that like getting professional help is a bad thing. Since when?
Yeah.
Right? Because your problems are so deeply rooted.
Yeah.
The fact that it's impacting your kids and your wife, and it's crazy to me that we don't work on it. One thing I talk about, with my sister and everybody else is, how often do you see in today's era your dad taking your mom on a date?
Oh, no.
How often do you see it?
Oh, it doesn't happen.
And you know how often, like, how nice for a mom would be like on a mother's side, be like, she'll feel good.
Yeah.
Be like, damn, like we're spending time together. Like we don't have to worry about this. They're going out. Yeah. Why don't we do that? Yeah. Why is it like, nahi sharma hundiya? You married, you had 2 kids, 3 kids, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Sharma don't know these, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And the onus has to be on us. Be like, no, go out and do that, because guess what? From my perspective, what I'm looking at, I don't want that. Why would I want to go get married, given what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, it stems from that when they see this, and when we have these talks, guess what? Now what do? They're like, no, they can't have these conversations because now they'll abuse alcohol.
Yeah.
And amount of times kids get scared coming home, be like, they know dad's going to be drunk when they're home.
Yeah.
Guess what? They either running to their room or going to sleep early or whatever it may be, because they're afraid what their dad's going to say. And you know how it impacts the kids negatively so much, because now that negative thoughts creep in your heads. Be like, damn, like, Is that what marriage is?
Yeah.
It's like a blueprint to a disaster. So guess what? We're looking at it. We all looking at it in our generation. We're all looking at that blueprint.
Yeah.
I don't want to get married.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
It's like, building a house crooked, eventually it's going to fall.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Like,
right?
To put it in perspective, similar, I would say, like, I went to Indianapolis to meet my cousins, and he actually has, he has a beautiful family. He has a son that I don't know, forgot how old he is, but I think he's about 8 years old, and the daughter's about 12.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'm like, yo, this is the type of family I want, right? Kids are running around in the playground, in the front and back. I'm chilling with them. And we have, in the evenings, we just chill. Like, we have a barbecue in the back, and it's just seeing how, my cousin and his wife interact with each other, right? Because usually, at least when we were younger, at least what I saw, it was like, it was just between my parents who were always arguing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or the mom would, like, I guess they wouldn't really taught how to, like, how to talk to kids.
There was no interaction.
There was either yelling, or it was just like, well, mostly it was just yelling. but like, even just with, my cousin, I was like, damn, I was like, this is the type of life I want to have. And the type of, I want to have kids and stuff like that. I want to be able to interact with them, have fun with them, and spend time with them. Because, like, now it's like, even when we were growing up, how many times were our parents were able to go to our games, right? Or even just hang out with us.
Yep.
And I think it's not to their fault. I guess they had to, come here with nothing, and they had to work and make sure there's food on the table and all that sort.
Yep.
And it was a huge impact on their mental health too, but I think that's the way they viewed life as, is that they came here, they have an opportunity, and they don't want to take a risk of, like, losing something.
Yeah, but I think now, just because, like, going back to you, I think we as men in our society, in our culture, we gotta take on and carry it forward.
Yeah.
With the pedestal, like, put ourselves up here, man.
Yeah.
Reach for the moon.
Oh yeah.
Don't see comfort in things that negatively impact you.
Yeah.
We all go through hardship, which is okay. But guess what? Now we have that ability to acknowledge them, embrace them, and sit with your thoughts. That's the number one. Sitting with your own thoughts, no music, no nothing. Sit by yourself and letting them run. It will help you greatly.
Yeah.
And that's what you should work towards, because hardship is part of life. You're going to have failures. You're going to have mistakes. And that's just how it is. But if we keep over and over repeating this cycle of what we see our dad and our mother, what that relationship meant, that's what marriage was meant. Guess what? You're going to take the same thing. You're going to carry it forward with your new girlfriend, your new partner, new wife. And guess what? Because women have that freedom now, why would they stick around? Why would they want a woman that knows her worth? She's making X amount of money and has her shit together. Why would she be with a man that constantly puts her down, doesn't act right, doesn't have his shit together, and just throwing a pity party by himself?
Yeah.
I hate people that throw a pity party. Everybody goes through shit. Have the willpower to work through it.
Yeah.
If you can't, find professional help. Find people around you that you trust. Guess what? We can have these talks. At a man to man, we can be like, you acting like a bitch.
No, but I think that's the main thing, though. It's like, we talked it numerous times, right? And the type of people that you're around you. I think for mental health for men, at least from my viewpoint, I'm not excusing this for, not going for professional help.
Yeah.
At least, it didn't help me.
Yeah.
I think I just, for myself, I wanted some boys around.
Yeah.
To maybe like, they would call for my bullshit. Be like, you need to
hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Responsibility.
But I was like, I think it was just in my own mind, my own head, that not realizing like how much far I came. And I was so stuck on, like I was saying, visualizing so much, but I was not looking at how much I've changed over time, how much I adapted.
Yeah.
But I think it's like what men need these days, if you do want to talk about mental health, right? I think you should have boys around you that you're able to talk to. Right, because it is a sensitive topic to talk about, and it's something I don't think you should be. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be talking to a girl about, or like to a female.
Why not? Right?
Right, but it's also the fact that it impacts the way that a female looks at you, right, as a leader.
Yeah.
Right, and because this is something I was like, okay, you know what? You shouldn't hurt to talk to whoever you want, right? Female, male, whoever it is, right? But then I was like thinking, I was like, well, at the same time, if if a woman sees you in a such a sensitive position, right? She contradicts whether or not if you're a man to lead.
Yeah, no, if you're in a vulnerable position, as you said, and then if you feel like your counterpartner, girlfriend, whatever it may be, is judging you, that means they have deficiencies of themselves.
True.
Like, if a person is judging you, there is no way, shape of any shape, form they should be judging you at all.
Yeah.
The only thing that should be is having a camaraderie as a partner to stand together, understanding this is the flaws of this person, and this is who he is. How do we get better from it? How do I have these talks with him? But like, okay, I do understand what you're going through. Let's sit down and let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? But now, let's sit down and talk about it. I don't want to talk about it because, as you said, it makes him feel less of a man. Yeah. There's no knock on having a talk where you feel like you're vulnerable emotionally. Yeah. It's okay, even if it brings you to a point where it brings you to tears, which is okay. There's no shame. Men cry. The tears come down our eyes, which is normal. Normalize it. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. True. And when you hold stuff in as a man, it reflects poorly when it comes to your relation, and it coerces your decisions from looking at things from a positive aspect. It leads you down a bad pathway to just making bad decisions over and over, and it only gets worse because now you're carrying all this burden on you. Yeah. You never knew how to deal with it healthier in your 20s, in your 30s. Now you're sitting in your, in your 50s and 60s and 70s, and eventually the inevitable part about life, which is death. It comes, and you're going to be sitting in bed one day, and guess what? If you're sitting there looking back at life, like, you regret it.
True.
Can't get that life back, man. We get one chance at this.
Yeah.
We're all imperfect, but guess what? Strive towards improving yourself, bettering yourself, and understanding those hardships were part of life, and how do I improve from it? True. Failure is... It's the process. Failure is literally the process. It's engraved in the process. Yeah. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. That's the failures. You go back up. You're working towards something. That's success. Yeah. That's part of it. Don't look at it as if like, man, I'm not good enough. Stop having these negative thoughts. Yeah. You are good enough. Stop saying I'm not worth it. Stop letting other people opinions impact you. We're not here to I'm not here to dispel a character. Yeah. Nor are you, and nor is the other person or anybody that's watching. You're not here to dispel a character of who you are. Understand mood swing is normal. It's human nature. True. It's okay not to feel, today I feel good, tomorrow I feel a certain way. Yeah. But instead people look at it and be like, damn, like he moody. Yes, that's part of human. Yeah. And understanding those, and understanding what words can do to a person, especially given an era like this, in today's society, we should choose our word wisely, and we should understand the impact it has on the people that's sitting across you, or and how it will impact them. You know, and this kind of goes back into tying up everything, understanding these things and how to improve from them. So certain things that we talked about is self-knowledge. Get in the gym. Yeah. I don't care. Nobody says. They say gym doesn't help. Yes, it does.
Oh, it definitely does. Yeah.
Go out there, go for a run, casual walk, get out there, be by yourself, release that inner beast in you to kind of release that energy out, man. Yeah. It's important. If you hold it in, it's going to bear down on you. We're going to look at wrong things to use. We're going to abuse alcohol. It's going to, eventually lead to more depression, anxiety, and higher suicide rates. And if you look at society today, in men, and now especially in our culture, it's almost, I don't know, the stat was pulled from the same studies. And I'll link the studies in my bio as well for people that are interested in it. It said there's, I think, 3.5 times more likely men to commit suicide compared to women. That is a huge discrepancy. And main reason why is because, as I said, the way we deal with things, and the abuse of the negative stuff that are, easily accessible these days, what takes control of us, and we should have that ability to take that self-control, and as you alluded to, when you go into a situation, what did you do? Sports was your outlet. trying to surround yourself with people that hold you accountable. Be around people that pushes you. Find a role model.
Yeah.
You know,
It's true.
those things should be, you know, more and more prevalent, but they're not. They're looked as if, you know, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know, so we shouldn't look at life in such a negative light where we're almost, you know, we're our own worst enemies.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But I mean, I guess I never asked you this question then. So then through this is kind of like, you know, of course, wrapping everything up and everything that we talked about previously. I was like, what did you do in your own hardship then?
The main thing that I don't like doing drugs. People know that. I smoked weed one time. It was in high school. And that person knows I got sick afterwards smoking weed. Take this in. You know, this is a funny story. So, first time I ever smoked weed in grade 12. That's the only time I ever smoked it, right?
Yeah.
And I got sick the next day. This guy was getting some bad weed. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, "You good?" I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "Okay, we'll go to the doctor." And the doctor's like, "Okay, cool." He's like, "Do a blood work." I'm like, "Huh?" Say that one more time, blood work. I'm not doing no blood work. I just smoked weed the other day.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way. Then I started asking people, started Google research, how long does weed last in your system? We're like, this, that. And then, you know, but aside from that, growing up, you know, we had that traditional lifestyle. You know, dad was a bread earner. Mom was at the nurturing side that nurtured me. She was like the embodiment of who I am today. The reason why I say that, at an early age when I was 2, I moved back with my mom to India alongside with my sister. So my dad will only come back in between the seasons. Wintertime, he was a truck driver, so, you know, they don't work during that time. They only work during the summertime, so he would spend back and forth. But during that period of time he wasn't there, guess what? Who was there? My mom. And guess what? The toll I seen it took on her as a woman, because she had the burden of having that father figure and a mother side to carry that and instill that in us. And it beat her down in life, man. It put her in a case of where, like, she battled through depression. You know, she had, you know, anxiety issues. She didn't know how to deal with certain things. Even now, she's like, you know, she's getting to a point where, like, you can see all that hardship in her life. It bear down on her, and not vocalizing it to, you know, the partner, to people around them. It brought her to this point, not saying that I was raised negatively. She raised me to the man I am today, that I'm proud of. Be like, that's my mother that raised me. And I'm grateful for it, you know. But you can tell now she's getting to a point where, like, she's tired in life.
Yeah.
She's late 50s. Yeah. You know, she's tired, and rightfully so. You know, it's not easy to go through it when you're doing it by yourself, not having these talks, you know, about self-improvement, having this ability to talk to more people and what you're going through. And when you don't have that, you don't have anybody.
Yeah.
You know, you just take everything on yourself. You're like, no, I got this. But it gets to a point where, like, when you really sit there, guess what? It pushes you in a dark corner where you don't know how to come back from. You're afraid now. Like, how do you move forward? So in my household, like, you know, coming back, one of the main thing that, you know, made me hate drugs, I genuinely mean this. Yeah. I genuinely hate alcohol and all that stuff, is because, you know, my dad was a heavy drinker, you know. But guess what, though? He still provided. He still knew what to do for his family. Took us on trips and, you know, did everything. But one thing he never talked about was his feelings. And the way for him to cope with his feeling was, guess what? Drinking it away and coming home and sometimes lashing out, you know. And that's not a healthy way to do it. And that's what we're doing now in our culture more and more, because we don't know how to do it. And we can sit here, both of us, we're like, okay, it made us better through the situation. But guess what? Someone else in your shoes, that is probably going through the same situation. Opposite, complete opposite. Their outlet is what? As we discussed before, abusing of drugs. And that's where, you know, we talk about, you know, the self-control, work on yourself, you know, truly sit there and understand who you are, acknowledge, you know, it's okay. You're not where you know, thought you're going to be in life, which is okay. How are you going to improve from it?
True.
Start journaling. Write it down. Yeah. Today, I feel like shit because this. Have that feelings. Understand, like, how intense are they? Like, does it make you feel physically tense? You know, does it make you, you know, all jittery inside? What is that feeling? Jot it down. Journalize it. And that's your thought now. You're not holding it in. it feels good afterwards. Then you can move on and progressing to what we'll touch upon the next episode is kind of now you acknowledge those, how to improve, and what you should do, and what we have done in our career that kind of helped us along becoming more and more successful, at least pushing us in an area where we can feel confident about where we're headed towards. We're not, where we don't feel stagnant, or we feel like we're not going nowhere, or, even if you do feel that way, but we constantly try to improve. So the next segment, we want to focus on just, that improvement segment, and once you acknowledge all the hardship and the mistakes and the failure, and how to move on, and actually, how that can better your life.
True.
So
I think, like I completely agree with you. Like self-improvement is a huge thing. Self-talk is definitely a huge thing. Like one quote that I definitely I can be constant in my mind is whenever I'm going through hard stuff is, it's by Nipsey Hussle. I listen to a lot of Nipsey Hussle. A lot of other artists too that actually have a purpose behind it. And one thing he said as he was pursuing his career is that you're gonna go through every emotion.
You are, man.
You're gonna go through everything. You're gonna be tested. You're gonna get through a lot of shit, whether it be business success or your personal life. It's just you're gonna go through a lot of stuff. And I think that men need to, even women, you need to really look at. I would say men specifically too. Since we can relate to it is. I don't think you should see mental health. Mental health is a big thing again, but I think you shouldn't see it as a downgrade. You should see it as a test.
Don't use an excuse just to sit in life and be like, oh, this is the reason why I'm here. Yeah. And man, again, throw that pity party. Nobody likes a Debbie Down ass person, man. I genuinely don't like them. Yeah. That way, stay that way. Yeah. Stay in that corner over there. Yeah. Nobody likes that.
But I think you just gotta stay grounded. This is kind of leading into our next point, just giving our own personal viewpoint, just tips. Yeah. People, like I was saying, I think you should, self-talk, self-improvement, a lot of that stuff, educating yourself is a huge thing. See what ways you can improve your own mental health, your own emotions, being able to control your emotions, seeing how you can improve your professional life, success, everything. It all ties together, and it all comes to how you can improve yourself.
Yeah, and be mindful.
Yeah.
Be mindful of what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
Like what type of rap you're listening to.
That's true.
What kind of music are you listening to? What kind of people you're involving yourself into? Because it all ties up into this whole segment, as you said, self-improvement. Yeah. Until you don't acknowledge how those things are impacting you, you'll never feel fulfilled inside or have that little, sense of, I want to do better by myself. Yeah. There's more to it than life. This is not it. The purpose, you gotta have that in you. And once when you see it, you're good. And then, as he alluded to Nipsey, man, stay 10 toes down.
Yeah,
we're gonna be all right. Right? No matter what, we're gonna be all right. Don't change for nobody. Be who you are, and embrace yourself.
Yeah.
And just keep your head up, man.
True.
Keep your head up, and you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
So
exactly, man.
That's all for this episode, guys, and I appreciate for everybody tuning in. And one thing I do want to do is give us comments about what we said, and how you think certain things that we might have missed and that are prevalent in our culture or in our community that we might have missed, and and we can definitely look back at it and talk about it in the next episode. So
yeah, man,
appreciate y'all tuning in. And go ahead.
Also, I'm gonna call out a lot of people, man. People are watching our shit but not following us, man. Follow our shit, man. What the hell?
Follow, man.
Where's our support, yo?
Y'all are dickheads.
Yo, we're not. We have drama. We have fucking. Eventually, we're gonna have comedy. We're gonna have guests on this shit. Yo, this is something big, man. Don't underestimate it. Yo, follow us.
Yeah, and also, even if you do feel like you guys are not doing a good job of certain things, let us know. Shoot us a DM. If you know us through people, let them know. And if you do like the content, man, follow, blow it up. And, we want to grow this to a point where, a lot of the issues that we have in our community is going to become less and less stressful environment, especially in a household. So,
exactly.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Peace.